Yo, everybody, what's up? It's your friendly neighborhood Agony here. Time to do another fucking movie review. This time it's over the film Deliverance from 1972. So, yeah, it's a classic. And as well as being a classic, it's also been on some disturbing lists. So, fuck it. I've wanted to watch this movie for quite a while. Yeah, I know. I'm a fucking fool for not watching a classic like this, pretty well fucking known. But whatever. Let's get into this shit. It is an adventure, drama, thriller. It's an hour and 49 minutes long, and like I said, 1972, so yeah, it's a classic, pretty well-known fucking movie. Besides me, I didn't fucking know. Well, I knew it was a classic, but I haven't seen it until fucking now, so. But yeah, I got my notes here, and first off, I wanted to start with some trivia things. There's only a couple here that, yeah, that I was going to get into. So pretty much one thing was, for those who don't know, this was actually a book before it was a movie. And one of the cool little facts is there later on, like towards the end of the movie, there's a sheriff, and pretty much the sheriff is played by the author of the book. Another cool little trivia thing is that the movie, well, the name of the movie is never really, I guess, explained apparently during the film, but apparently in the book, I guess, the title Deliverance comes from the fact guys are trying to pretty much seek deliverance from stresses of modern day life because, yeah, they're city slickers. And, yeah, let's get into this. So, the actual plot of this fucking movie. Well, the plot of this movie is pretty much um, four friends, a group of friends that are, like I said, in the city and shit, modern day. They decide that they want to have a weekend kind of getaway. So they want to go on a canoe trip out kind of in the wilderness before some construction happens and fucks that all up. Because, yeah, basically the whole area they're wanting to explore out in these woods is going to be submerged. And so they decide to have this weekend getaway, and things turn to utter fucking shit. As anyone who's watched this will know, and that's basically the plot. I believe it even in the synopsis it says, like, the vacation thing turns into a fucking nightmare, and a nightmare it turns into. I'll definitely fucking say that, because I would not want this kind of getaway. I don't think anybody would want this kind of getaway. But all right, so the first thing I'll say, because there's a spoiler section I'll get into at some point. Well, before I get into any spoilers and actually start kind of like digging into a little bit of it, I'll say the things that I liked about it, which were, I mean, okay, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to start with this. Okay, the first thing I'll say is that the scenes with Burt Reynolds, I feel like Burt Reynolds as Lewis, at least to me, was he was a really cool character. He's a pretty funny motherfucker, kind of comedic. His dialogue and all that shit was interesting. The interaction with the friends was really cool, and even some of the beginning scenes and stuff. Um, that kind of helped until the later moments. So I mean, for me, even though this is an old film, and see, I actually get into older films as well. I mean, I've reviewed pretty much like kind of more modern movies. I haven't really gotten into like older films yet, but I love like all kinds of films. I've watched silent films. I've watched 70s, 80s, whatever. But this movie to me, holding up today, I'd say it still holds up today. It's definitely good. It's a classic for a reason. And like I said, so the performances from like Burt Reynolds and others are pretty good. Just he, to me, anyways, stood out. His portrayal of the character stood out. At least that's what I liked. And so basically, I guess I should maybe get a little bit into the nightmare thing. Like I said, they're there to pretty much go into this wilderness on this canoe trip, which seems pretty innocent enough, you know. And it's not the wilderness that fucks them over like maybe some would think. I mean, this movie's pretty well known for a specific moment that I'll get into later, and that's probably the reason why it's on some disturbing lists and shit. But pretty much, yeah, they're not exactly welcomed by the locals, and a fucking thing kind of happens there. But like I said, I'll leave that to later, just in case someone's watching this who has not seen the movie and does not know the fucking infamous scene that I'm going to talk about later on. Yeah, pretty much some shit ends up going down. But like I said, so the actors portrayed the characters pretty well. Some good moments there. Oh, the scenery was obviously cool and stuff. And I'd say the thing that I really liked about it was what ends up happening after the infamous scene. Like later on in the movie, there's that infamous scene that I'm going to get into. But what happened after kind of took me off guard. I knew almost nothing about this movie other than the infamous scene that's supposed to happen in it, and I knew about the banjo scene, which is a very iconic scene. I'm sure most people who do know of Deliverance either know of the infamous scene or the banjo scene at least, and that's pretty much probably all that they know about. That's the biggest things that you'll probably hear about when it comes to this movie. But both scenes, banjo scene was fucking awesome. That's what I'll say. The iconic scene is a really cool scene, and it kind of is like one of the very few scenes where you see them get along with the locals in a sense, like a kind of a coming together. Because that's one thing I'll probably discuss is there's a big divide. At least I feel like this movie is this movie kind of shows this big divide between the modern people and the big ass city, the city slicker motherfuckers, and people that are out more in the wilderness and kind of not just like wilderness, but more in the country and more like that. The different lifestyles. It shows how they kind of, I don't know if I'd say clash, but it shows kind of the judgments on both sides. And it shows, at least to me, that there is ignorance on both sides. But the cool part, like I said, at least for me, was that the iconic scene was like one of the few moments where a lot of the prejudices and a lot of the negative views of each other was torn down, and there was like a moment there where you could see, like I said, to see them come together. But not only that, but like I said, it was kind of a cool scene. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was kind of funny seeing the one guy dancing there. And I guess that's another thing I should probably put is I had read that apparently the older guy who starts dancing, I guess that was like kind of like not scripted or nothing. The guy just did it for the scene. So I mean, I love when movies have moments like that. I love when you hear little facts like that, like an actor, whoever just did some kind of random thing, and it just helps kind of elevate the scene or goes with it really good. But yeah, that's the thing I'll get into is, so yeah, the iconic scene was good, really cool. And I'll say there's rude behavior, and it seems like, at least to me from when I watched it, a lot of the rude behavior first does come from the group of friends. Bobby, I believe his name was. I'm trying to think what he was, and I don't know if he was an accountant. He's not really a big shot, but sort of. He's definitely, I'd say, the most lacking of the four in terms of, like, I don't know if I'd say gruffness or whatever you want to call it, but like, I mean, he's definitely the most kind of out of his element is what I'd say. And he makes some pretty rude ass comments at the beginning of the movie that I mean, at least to me, it's like I was sitting there like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, not only are you a rude fucking dickhead, but are you dumb enough to think these guys can't hear you being a fucking asshole to them? And that's what I'll say is, like, right from the get-go, you see basically the friends, more or less, at least Bobby and Lewis, the guy I like, which was Burt Reynolds, kind of being dicks. I mean, they're kind of just not really friendly whatsoever. They're kind of throwing some words around and shit. I mean, it ends up kind of being sent back towards them, and so you kind of see this kind of clash even from the get-go, the beginning, before anything crazy happens. You see this kind of butting heads and, like I said, judgments against each other. But yeah, that fucking happens in the beginning. Let me see here. Huh. And now I'm trying to see what else I should get to. But so yeah, I guess I actually shouldn't really get into too much spoiler territory. But yeah, so I'll say the acting was good. Scenery was, a typical kind of woodland scenery. You get some interesting things that kind of keep you pulled along until shit gets crazy. And I'd say in particular the later half of the film, once the scene goes down, is really cool. So I'd say to stick with this film. I'm not sure, like, with present audiences, because like I said, with me, an old film doesn't bother. I mean, some people, for some reason, they'll hear the year of this film or whatever, and they get like this negative kind of feeling about a older fucking film. Just, I don't know what it is, but I have heard people. I know of people I've talked to that just, like, they prefer newer films. But I would say to anybody who has that feeling, can you just please get the fuck over it? I mean, there's good movies from all, like, eras, all decades. There is, like, great movies, and you're gonna straight up miss out like this one. I mean, this isn't like an amazing, mind-blowing movie, but it is a good movie. That's what I'll say. Now, in terms of disturbing quality, I should get into. Did this disturb me? I will say it did not disturb me personally, and that's not really the fault of the film. I would say it's the fault of and this is the case of the time period kind of thing. In its day, would it be disturbing? I would say probably. Like other movies of its time that went towards things like this that are classified as disturbing. They were disturbing in their time. It's just now with what day we are in and with the amount of shit I've personally seen. I mean, I've seen Irreversible and all this other stuff like Serbian film and thing. I mean, by the time you've watched those and you come back to something like this, it doesn't have much of an effect on you. Now, is it disturbing? I mean, it didn't disturb me, but is it disturbing? The subject matter, yeah, I'd say it's disturbing because I mean, anytime something really fucked up like what happens in this film, it's disturbing. It's quite messed up to have a subject and a situation like that take place. Yeah, it's fucked up. But do I think it will disturb modern audiences or people looking for a disturbing film? No, I do not think this will do it for you. But if you're a fan of movies, like of movies from the past, classics, just like I said, good acted movies that have scenes later on where you're kind of like, man, what the hell's going to happen? And it kind of keeps you there, and it gives you this kind of uncertain feeling about it, and it kind of takes you to different places you weren't expecting. You'll like this movie, so I say give it a shot. Don't let the age bother you. And I mean, I would hope that everybody wouldn't let the age of a movie bother them, the time that it was made bother them or something, because like I said, you're going to be missing out on some great shit if you do. So I guess before I get into spoilers and I get into anything else, I should just give it my score. I was thinking of giving it a score of 7. I thought it was a decent, good movie. Um, but like I said, it wasn't anything mind-blowing personally, but it was entertaining. It was good, and I wanted to see how, I wanted to see who was going to make it out and how they were going to make it out. And like I said, there was just certain moments that I don't want to spoil that kind of was that caught me off guard. That I was like, man, I expected like this scene to happen and kind of like things fizzling out or whatever. But no, the movie did not fizzle out. It kind of kept you until the end, and the kind of the way it ended, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't expecting the later half of the movie from what I was expecting. So yeah, I give it a 7. I say it's a pretty good movie. I say if you're into classics, check that shit out. Pretty fucking awesome. And now I shall be getting a little bit more into the spoilers portion. So yeah, guys, I've covered the iconic scene, which is pretty awesome. I covered the rude behavior, and now it's time to start getting into the gritty portions, as in later on towards the infamous scene. So yeah, the part where they meet the crazy locals and shit's about to go down. I mean, you could like the thing that I liked about the scene. I guess I don't know if I'd say liked. I mean, the scene's pretty fucking screwed up, but I mean, you could tell by the looks before the situation even happened. You could tell by just the demeanor and the looks that something bad was gonna fucking happen. I mean, you could. I mean, I guess I'd say acting on the horrible fucking bastards who do what they're gonna do. So yeah, that in particular was fucking good acting, I'd say, I guess. Because like I said, even just from the look in their eyes, the demeanor and all that, you could tell it was heading towards that route. And it's kind of a shame that Bobby was one of the two that was in that situation. Because like I said earlier in this review, he was kind of like out of his element. And maybe that's why he ended up being kind of the target when things do go down, is because they could kind of sense that about him. But yeah. What do I say about the scene, the infamous scene? It's fucked up. And I mean, I wish that Lewis had arrived a little bit earlier. But I guess it's a good thing he arrived when he did, so he stopped worse things from happening. And that's what I'll say is I mean, for as much shit as a lot of the people, as the group of friends, it seems like the group of friends don't really like Lewis that well. Because, I mean, he's confident, he's fucking kind of arrogant, he's kind of cocky, and he's kind of, he's got some kind of shit about him, but I liked him. But anyways, they don't really like him. But I mean, who saved their ass at the end of the day? So I mean, they obviously should be thankful, and they're thankful that Lewis is there when shit goes down because he's the one who comes in kicking some ass. But yeah, I guess I don't really have much to say about the infamous scene. I mean, obviously it was really twisted, and I do believe I read something about the whole squeal like a piggy thing being kind of like just, I don't know if I'd say, yeah, like improvised, something like that, like on the spot. It was supposed to be, I guess, more of a vulgar scene. But yeah, I mean, the scene's pretty fucked up. I mean, like I said, because of what I have personally seen, I've seen worse. So it did not exactly impact me like it would probably others. But yeah, it's a generally fucked up scene. And the thing I'll say that I'm quite surprised about is that Bobby was able to just kind of like shove it away quickly. Like I figure, like, I mean, you could tell it had some kind of impact on him, and he didn't want to talk about it. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he didn't. I would have figured someone would have broke down a hell of a lot more than he did. But I mean, I'll get on to the next stuff. Ed climbing the cliff. Now I'll say that. That scene, like, holy fuck, I gotta say, Ed's got some fucking balls, because like I was saying, after the infamous scene, I didn't know where this film was gonna go. I figured, honestly, at least my expectation was, okay, they're gonna get on this canoe and they're just gonna kind of try to get out of here, and it's gonna be kind of a rough, bumpy journey. What I didn't expect was the fact that apparently the other guy who had gotten away during this infamous scene, that he would possibly come back and try to kill them again on the cliff and shit. If you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. But so that caught me off guard. So like a cat and mouse element came in, and that was really cool. So I'm happy that they did something like that instead of just having it like, trying to just kind of get the hell out of there and it being a rough journey kind of thing. The later half of the film, like, I was really uncertain. It's like, are they even gonna make it back? Like, what is someone else gonna fucking die? Or I just didn't expect the cliff climbing thing. And like I said, Ed's definitely got some balls, because I sure as fuck don't think I'd be scaling that goddamn cliff like he did as high up without the gear and all that fucking shit. Like, man, that was some intense stuff. But yeah, the other thing I guess I'll get to is, I don't have, I guess, too much to discuss, but the end of the movie. I liked the end of the movie because the way the movie ended is, they got out of the situation, and he ended up killing the guy on the cliff. And as it kind of turned out, they left it open to being whether, at least to me, it seemed like they left it open to whether, you don't really know if that was the other guy that, did that whole fucked up scene, if that was his partner, or if that was actually just a random guy that was like hunting or something. They kind of left that open. So at the end of the movie, when the character, I can't remember his fucking name. Fuck me. Yeah, I know. But when the character's lying there awake, and then there's like the dream of possibly the body being discovered and stuff, it goes to show how, I mean, they're gonna have to live with this traumatic incident the rest of their lives. Like every night, he's gonna be worrying about, like, and that's the thing that I like, I guess, is that it went that route and really like hammered it home that, I mean, this is, this fear of being caught, even though they're defending themselves, is going to be cemented in their heads forever. And that was also another really like interesting direction, was seeing them, get out of the situation and get back to town and all that. Like I said, I figured it was just going to be, infamous scene happens, they get out of there, they survive, and that's it. No, they actually go back to town and they have to try to explain to the law, cover things up. It was just a direction I didn't expect, and I'm happy it went that way. And it was interesting, and I didn't know if they're going to get out of it. It's like, shit, are they going to get discovered? Are they going to crack? Or what's going to happen? But then it ends, with them sort of getting out of it, but leaving it up there. Are they going to truly get away with this crime, or are they going to take the fall for it? Which sucks, because I mean, they've obviously been through enough as it is. But yeah. And so let me see here if there was anything else that I wanted to get to. I'm trying to think here about the different scenes and stuff, because that's basically all of my notes. But I do feel like there was something else that I really want to discuss. Okay, yeah, wait. I was going to discuss the ignorance both ways. So, the ignorance both ways. What do I mean by that? I was going back to the judgments there. Since both groups, the people in the city and the people in the wilderness, they come from different, walks of life, they have this different negative view of each other, which I felt, it sucks. And I think this movie goes to kind of show that that's what happens when two groups of people who really shouldn't be pissed at each other have these prejudices and this built up negativity. These kind of fucked up, fucked up things are going to happen, and all this shit when there's prejudice there. And so, I mean, the city folks, they, it's like they think down on country folks, like, oh man, these guys are dumb, ignorant, not primitive, but, I mean, they look down on them and kind of berate them for their lifestyle and kind of have this feeling of like superiority that really shouldn't be there, because at the end of the day, we're all people, right? Both sides are people. Why act like an asshole like that? I don't know. But that's kind of how they portray themselves to be, in a sense. And that's kind of how those country folks in this film feel, is they feel like, the city folks are, what I mean, are being arrogant and pretending that they're superior, and that pisses them off, obviously, because, I mean, if you're in that dynamic and you see these arrogant assholes acting like they're superior to you just because of something insignificant like where you live and your lifestyle, it's going to piss you off. And so that's why, on that end, why the behavior is coming back, the rude behavior and shit. But then, you get, on the other side of the spectrum, you get where the folks who live in the country feel like, they know this land, they know this area, they know how to fucking survive out here. They've lived out here, this is their place. And, so in a way, they're a little bit arrogant as well, because then they're like, these fucking dumb, stupid, fucking city slicking idiots don't know what the fuck they're doing out here. You know what I mean? So it's another feeling of superiority on that side. In this element, in the woods over here, you have that element where they feel superior to them and like they are fucking stupid and ignorant. And just so, I mean, you get this dynamic from both sides, where each side is feeling kind of like looking down on the other one, and instead of seeing each other as just people, and instead of, I mean, there's all this prejudice and this fucking this shit here. And so, I mean, I feel like, if maybe the city folks or the other, I mean, if it wouldn't have been here on both sides, maybe the situation wouldn't have happened. I don't know. Maybe, things wouldn't have happened this way if at the end of the day people could put aside their prejudice shit. If they could put aside these just negative kind of assumptions about others and just view each other as fucking people, maybe these things wouldn't happen. Maybe this pointless anger and this bullshit wouldn't fucking happen. I don't know. I just felt like that was something, at least I was kind of catching on, that the film seemed to kind of delve into. Was it delved into just the negativity, the prejudice of two different, I don't know if I'd say cultures, but like two different groups of people like this, and how when there's this much hate and this kind of shit ramping up, what it can kind of escalate to, the things it can kind of cause. So yeah, I do feel like that's pretty much everything that I want to cover. I've covered the big scenes there, and covered my thoughts. It was a pretty good movie. Like I said, not anything too crazy, but a fucking awesome movie, a good classic. And I do love reviewing and watching classic movies like this. That's for fuck sure. And I feel like a lot of people, I don't know if I'd say people in the modern day don't really like pay homage to the classics and don't really give them the respect they deserve, but in a sense I would, because like I said, a lot of people I personally have run into, movie watchers, whatever, it's kind of like they completely disregard older films like this one that are good fucking films and deserve to be remembered. And I mean, this ain't the only, film. Like I said, I've watched silent films. I own quite a few like older flicks, older films that I feel like definitely hold up to today. And some of my favorite films are films from the past. So that's why I put that little bit in there, that people who have some sort of whatever hang up over the age of a film need to kind of, zip their fucking mouths. Something like that. Watch it, check it out. It's a good movie. Movies in general are fucking awesome. Check this shit out. I do hope that everybody enjoyed this review. For some reason, I guess I had a moment there where I was trying to think back to the things I was wanting to say, I watched this movie a little bit ago, so there's probably maybe some things that might have slipped my mind that I'm not mentioning here. But let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if there's any kind of perspectives or thoughts that I didn't catch that'd be interesting to discuss. That's what I'm hoping to do. That's why I kind of dig into it a little bit and kind of bring out things that I found to be interesting. But yeah, guys, this looks like it's about the end for me. This movie was Deliverance. It was fucking cool. Give it a check out. And this has been your narrator, whatever the fuck you want to call me, Agony333, with another movie review. If you like this fucking movie review, like, comment, subscribe for more. More is coming. I will probably be back to disturbing films in a little while because yeah, it's I've kind of held off on some other ones high on the list, but maybe I'll be getting back to those. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you want more fucking movie reviews from this jackass here. And yeah, Agony333 signing out, everybody. Have a great one. Peace out, folks.